Absolutely, Willem. And we went into this meeting, and this is the first meeting Eurogroup we've had since that Italian government was put together. Well, in essence, it hasn't actually been fully formed yet. We've only got the Prime Minister who will be presenting his cabinet proposals. But that aside, there are a lot of questions about how the rest of Eurogroup is going to be dealing with the prospect of an Italy and Italian government who are looking to potentially breach some of those fiscal rules by reducing income when it comes to tax and increasing spending on other matters like a universal basic income as well. And many analysts estimate that the proposals that have been put on the table could set them at massive odds with the Maastricht Treaty and push spending to well over that 3% limit. So clearly other people in Europe are looking at that very closely to see whether or not those proposals are going to get implemented in the first place. And the reaction from European policymakers has varied. We heard from Finance Minister, I'm sure you all know, Willem, last week the French Finance Minister sent very strong words to the Italian government and warned them that they have to respect the rules or else it could create financial instability in the rest of the Eurozone, to which just a couple of days later Mr. Salvini, head of Lega, responded, don't stick your nose in our businesses, just focus on France. But since then it seems like the tone has softened a little bit. But you were just talking about some of the reaction in markets, and we've seen Italian assets underperform, we've seen Italian bonds underperform, but a lot of the focus as well has been on Italian banks, because up until now that has been a very positive story for the Eurozone. Now, I had a chance to speak with the Dutch finance minister just before they were heading into the EconFin meeting, and I asked them whether or not we're going to see any positive results when it comes to the banking union, and also whether or not the Italian government's measures to repeal some of the reforms would derail some of the Italian banking deleveraging efforts as well. Let's take a listen.
We're going to have the meeting in the next couple of hours. But if you want me to comment on what seems to be on the table, I think from a risk reduction perspective, that looks very, very good. So I'm satisfied with, very satisfied with what is now on the table.
Now, talking about risk reduction, of course, Italian banks have some of the largest non-performing loans in the Eurozone. Are you concerned that with the new Italian government and their intention to repeal some reforms, it could derail those efforts and derail the process of further integration in the banking union?
Well, just to be clear, this is a first step on the banking union. The whole discussion on NPLs is a discussion that we're going to have later on, so that is not on the agenda now. As for the Italian government, as I've said before, I think we should judge it on its deeds. So there will be a government in the very near future, and then let's see what it actually does.
Do you anticipate Europe will give any fiscal leeway at all to the Italian government, given their program agendas entails a little bit more fiscal spending?
We've been very clear on the necessity and also the logic behind the rules. The rules are not imposed on member states because of Brussels. The rules are rules that all member states have committed themselves to for the simple reason that they believe that it is in their own good and in the interest of their own countries. So that is the logic, and I think that is a logic that is perfectly sound, and it will continue to be perfectly sound.
That was the Dutch finance minister essentially saying that rules are rules and rules are for everybody and are meant to be respected. But again, actions speak louder than words. So let's see what the government comes up with when it's finally formed and they put their proposals actually to work. Now, I also had the chance to catch up with Pierre Gramegna, the Luxembourg finance minister as well. And I asked him if he had any message for Mr. Conte, the new Italian prime minister. Let's take a listen.
We look forward to work with the new Prime Minister of Italy designate. We've noticed that he has mentioned Europe many times, and he wants a good dialogue with Europe, and we should take that for face value and look forward to working with him.
Are you not concerned that some of the proposals put forward by the Italian government could break some of the cohesion and the future plans to bring Eurozone closer together?
Well, one thing is the things that you say before the elections, and another thing is what you do afterwards when you're confronted with facts and realities. So let's judge then on the facts that are going to happen. Italy is a founding member of the European Union, has always been a faithful partner, and I'm sure it will be so also in the future.
Luxembourg Finance Minister there, Mr. Joumanna, saying that he's looking forward to having a dialogue with Mr. Conte. And actually, when Mr. Conte did give a speech a couple of days ago, he said that he would as well be looking to have a dialogue with the rest of Europe, even though it is a new chapter in Italian history. But again, as they both said, actions speak louder than words, Willem, and a lot of questions about whether or not the government is actually going to be able to implement half of these policies.
Hey everybody, it's Hadley Gamble from our new CNBC Middle East Bureau in Abu Dhabi. Thanks for stopping by. Now to watch more, you can try one of the videos that just popped up on your screen. And don't forget to subscribe.